once again, and welcome back. And today I've picked out an interesting story, and if we have time, we may do one more after this. But let's just get right into it. Okay, so I played the long game and even surprised the DM. I'm playing a Warforged arcane archer who is, essentially, a fantasy Frankenstein's monster, but book inspired rather than movies. His name is Alahan, and he's a lot of fun. I should note that my DM and players are aware of the fact that Alahan is not a traditional Warforged. Rather than made of metal and living wood, he was created from various body parts. Needless to say, he's grisly to look at, which is why he's so thoroughly covered. However, no one in-game knows. I describe him as wearing full-body leather coverings. I think Orgy 13 cloaks. Under the hood, he has a wooden mask, meaning nothing of his skin is revealed at any point in time. He doesn't sleep, so attempts to peek under his cloak are never successful. He stuffs his pockets and all inside the cloak with what amounts to potpourri. Always nice smelling plants he encounters. Every time he meets someone new, and I do mean every time, he makes a best guess at what their race is. He then says something along the lines of, "Hello, fellow human, I am human." It's especially funny when a 7-foot tall behemoth tells a dwarf, "I am also a dwarf." Always gets a laugh from the party. When a woman was upset because her son was taken by cultists, he reached into his sleeve and pulled out a handful of dried flowers and put it in her hands. "This is a gift. Feel better." Before she could respond, he holds out his hand. "I need that back now." He's played a bit as a comic relief, who happens to be terrifying efficient in combat. He easily has the highest kill count in the party, which is understandable since he stands back with a heavy crossbow raining death on cultists. It's absolutely magnificent. At one point, we were asked to capture a high-ranking cultist, which he did thanks to some hilarity. In the evening, we attend a celebration and feast, but Alahan isn't eating or drinking. He's simply watching, and I tell the DM that if he notices anyone look at him, he locks eyes, not that his are visible, and stares the person down until they look away. At some point, he piles his plate up with food, and with all the subtlety of an orc barbarian trying to sneak, throws the plate of food over his shoulder and comments that it is tasty. I have told that the people of the keep are well and thoroughly afraid of him at this point. We later learned that there were unsuccessful attempts to get info from the priestess. A few more in-game days pass, and I tell the DM that Alahan waits until the priestess is alone and goes into her cell. My DM, genius as she is, plays along with this whole scene perfectly. Alahan enters and stands stock still, quietly saying, "When next they come to speak to you, you are going to tell them everything." It's important to note that up to this point, Alahan's voice has always been friendly. Even though he was talking to enemies, he was currently trying to kill. Not anymore. It had gone deeper, more serious. Gone with the inflection of the carefree giant who liked flowers and weirding out peasants. The priestess responds, "Or what? What will you do?" It's at this point that Alahan approaches. He simultaneously removes his mask and hood, and players are paying rapt attention. Alahan has never done this before. I describe how he has ashen skin, with scar tissue lining areas where the tone doesn't match up quite right. Alahan directly in her face snarls, "Or I will eat you alive." Intimidate, at advantage, 19 on the roll, plus like 5 or something? I don't recall. She rolls a 2 against my check. She's terrified, and then she must also make a con save, which she fails, becoming sick and laying loose the scant contents of her stomach. Alahan stands back up and puts his hood and mask on, telling her, "Remember, tell them everything." As he leaves, he says, "That cannot die which lies eternal dreaming, and with strange eons even death may die." The weird motto from Lovecraft that I decided is like his mantra. He immediately goes to the dwarf in charge of the fort and tells him that the priestess will talk next time they go to question her. How did you manage that? He asks, clearly suspicious. They threatened her, even tortured her. This dwarf knew their prisoner wasn't going to crack easy. Alahan simply replies, I asked nicely. The next morning he accompanies the dwarf, along with our rogue, to speak with the prisoner. The moment Alahan walks into the room, she begins to weep. The dwarf looks at me. What did you do? Alahan simply stares at her as she knobs his little poem. He says, I asked nicely. And this is how I convinced everyone I was playing a comic relief character, when in fact I am playing a terrifying monster who has convinced a group of adventurers that he's harmless. I can't wait for the next season. That was really good. That's a really interesting way to play something. Okay, hey, we have time for one more, so I'm gonna put the other one on. But yeah, we'll just do a short one. Okay. So, be me, bard in a D&D campaign. Party is me, rogue, barbarian, warlock, and sorcerer. Dungeon crawl time. Enter a new room. Sorcerer casts dancing lights so we can see. Hundreds of glowing eyes appear as on the walls. Oh shit, .jpg. There are 9 boulders lined up in that platform to the exit. We gotta jump across the boulders. But we gotta do it quietly or else we will wake up some zombie rats below the boulders who attack us. We wake up a few rats but handle them no problem. Party is semi-scattered across the boulders, but we're about halfway through. Sorcerer casts a spell and has to roll on a wild magic table. Effective wild magic causes 1d10 necrotic damage in a 30-foot radius around the sorcerer. Party members take damage, but not too bad. Nailed it. DM starts rolling and doing stuff on his laptop. Oh, fuck. The 30-foot radius of the spell included all the rats below the boulder. So 92 rats wake up. My face. It was a short one, but I thought that was a good addition as well. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. Until the next time.